So I just start this event and welcome you all. Practical things first. We are both streaming this and recording it, and so yeah. So be careful what you say. In this world today, we never know where it ends. But this is an event that we have been preparing for a very short time, but it has a long. Well, my name is Skuli Gunnarsson. I'm the director of Gunnarsson Institute at Skriðuklaustur in East Iceland. Just for those of you who don't know. We have this meeting online as well, so there are some people that are going to participate from Skagastrand. Vicki from Skagastrand will give us a presentation. But then we are mainly here in this room, and I'm just going to start the sharing because we will have a lot of this sharing here. Stefnumót gestavinnustofur, the importance of residencies. So just to give you the background of this project, in very briefly first, we go back 4 years, and then I got an email from some guy named Lukas from Košice in Slovakia. He had been participating, he was running a cinema there, Kino Úsmev, and had been participating in EEA grants projects with Norway and Iceland, with Bioparadís, for example. But now he wanted to extend a little bit, and not least because his wife, who is a writer, and she was also very keen on the idea of making residencies and building up that. They lived in a house that was actually with a Hungarian, Slovak writer, Chandor Maré. So there was similarity of the building in Skriðuklaustur that I'll tell you better about later, and this. But how on earth he got my email, that's still a question. But maybe he just Googled it, or maybe some people at Bioparadís told him about us. So there started this project that was called Epic Residencies, and in that we had this exchange program of writers, and we were working also with the Writers Association here and the Tau Scene in Stavanger in Norway. So 4 writers from Iceland, they went to Košice, to this newly established residency there, and we have 2 of them here, Valur Gunnarsson and Þorvaldur Sigurbjörn Helgason. Then Gerður Kristný and Kristína Ómarsdóttir went also there, and then were Norwegian writers going over there also. And then we welcomed 4 Slovak writers and filmmakers to residency in Skriðuklaustur. So also a part of that project was to write a handbook for about how to host residencies, and we had also a little bit of a little side on it, was that here in Iceland we focused on having workshops to strengthen the connection between the Writers Association and immigrant writers, and had 2-3 workshops quite successful that opened the doors to the Dingivegur, to the other Gunnar's house here in Iceland for the immigrant writers. But then, of course, all projects end. It was just a 2 years project, but we liked to work a little bit more together, and applied for a follow-up in a way, and that became the Epic Tour, and so of Slovakia and Iceland. So that is just a project between the Literary Residence Košice, or the institute or the association that is running that, and Gunnarsstofnun in the east. And so So we have literally been on the road for the last days with our 5 representatives from cultural centers and residencies in Slovakia. So the idea behind the epic tour is actually to extend this network, to see if we can create in some ways contacts both for Icelandic and Slovak residencies and cultural centers that could maybe then continue in some productive collaborative projects. But we have here our agenda here today is, well, first, before I go to the agenda, I want to say that I want to express a very good thanks to all the residencies that we sent out here in Iceland, because we saw a little light there to actually contact all the residencies in Iceland and try to make some kind of a contact or a conversation, because they are growing in number, we can say, in Iceland, just as in Slovakia. So I believe maybe there are between 30 or 40 residencies actually now in Iceland, which we can call a kind of a residency programs, or many of them are hidden in a way. Others are very big and have been going on for a long time, but we don't have so much contact between us. And it was rather easy in the year 2000 when I started in Skriðuklausturs in the Gunnarsson Institute. Then there were, I believe, 5 residencies in Iceland. So it has changed a lot. But to the agenda today, we will start with this presentation section, where we have 5 short presentations from Slovakia and 4 here from Iceland, which will give us a good idea about the variety of all the residencies that we have in both those countries. Some are starting, some are older. And then we will launch this handbook that we made in the other project. Of course, we have launched it before, but we didn't do it with a special event. And hopefully that, and Skotta, who is my assistant and the residency manager at Skriðuklaustur, will introduce that. But then we will maybe refill our coffee and get some more sugar in our blood before the panel discussion, which will be moderated by Gunnarsson from the City Library, and actor and director and artist of many things. But so I think it's just time to go for the presentations. Laura, Kristína Priatková, she will start. She is a communication and project manager at the Literárne Residencies in Košice. The one that was actually, you can use this one here if you want. Yes. So, please.
Yeah. Hello, thank you everyone for coming. And also thank you for Skuli that you made this all together, because we've been partners for 4 years now, and we decided to continue our partnership this year. I'm representing Literárne Residencies Košice, which is the official partners of this project, together with Skuli. I'm the communication and project manager there, and we are a small group of people. We are artist-run residency because, as Skuli mentioned, our founder is Lukáš. He also worked in Kina Úsmev, so he is like a film producer, and his wife Juliana, she's a poet, and we also worked with Veronika Juricová, who is a very successful Slovak writer. And I started to do my internship there as a student, but then I quickly became part of the board. And now am I here and going to speak a bit about what we do, and if you have any questions you can ask at the end. So, about the residency. So the residency was established a few years ago. It is in the eastern part of Slovakia, in Košice, second biggest city. It is managed by the Club of National Minorities, which means we try in our agenda also connect our activities sometimes with other minorities. For example, as the war in Ukraine escalated, we took multiple residents from Ukraine. We had many writers from Ukraine, but we also participate with Polish writers. And we try to work with Roma minority also in Košice, because they established a small literary club for the kids. And we want to, work with them, have different presentations, we do workshops with them on, for example, book binding or how to write a novel. And we also had a workshop on spooky stories. So we try to make this part of our agenda as well. It is in the city center. It is located in the Grossschmidt house, who was a very old lawyer of Košice. And it was also home of Košice-born Hungarian writer Sándor Márai. This is how our space looks. On the upper floor, there's the museum of Sándor Márai, and when you go inside, there is this beautiful yard, and Lukáš and Juliana also live upstairs, but the resident usually stays downstairs in this building, but we don't have any pictures from the inside because we want to keep it private. So what we do. So we are a literary residency, which means we concentrate mostly on text, and we try to expand it because firstly it was like literature, but now we want to do also intermedia, which are connected somehow towards language text. So we want to broaden the context, but we do mixed residencies. We try to do residencies for translators because they are not so common in Slovakia. Usually we do just writers. We also host poets and multiple genres. We are also international. We are trying to do international. We are both part of the Visegrad Grants, which means we had programs with Polish writers, also with Ukrainian ones. But in 2022, I think we became a part of Res Artis International Residency Community, which, if you don't know, is the biggest residency community in the world. And we can participate on their agenda and also can have international open calls. And since we became part of that, we have much more international applicants sending their applications to us. We also, and yes, obviously the EPIC project, which Skuli mentioned, but that means that we had multiple writers and directors from Iceland and Norway, and Portuguese Norway writers in our place in Košice. This was our final event, just 2 photos, last year in March. It was the end of our previous collaboration with Skuli. So we had multiple translators and writers from Slovakia. There you can see Kristína and also Skuli. And Dominika, she's a writer, and she also was my colleague last year. And it was like the final official ending, and many readings were made, and poetry was translated also to Slovak language because of this event. So we were able to take some of the poems and translate them to Slovak for this occasion. Here are some of our residents, just very briefly. This is, for example, a musician who also writes poetry and very poetic small texts. This is Iveta Kokiova. She's a Czech Roma author. And that's Anna Siedik, who is a Ukrainian writer living in Slovakia. She's very young. She also runs a literary program in one of the cultural centers, who Soňa will be presenting later. And how we do it. So usually we have 2 open calls per year, but we are trying to make it 1 because it's very complicated usually. And we are just 3 people working there, so it's sometimes very overwhelming. But we have an open call. And the writers are chosen. We have an external committee, which we try to change. So usually we have 1 person representing our residencies, so 1 person from the board, and 2 other people which we choose from like literary scene in Slovakia. So we can, have different perspectives, different programs, and to decide the different people. We try to support the residents in a way that we're not a paid residency. We pay the residents who go there. We pay them 700 euros, which is not much, but they have the accommodation. They don't have to pay for the flat. So the 700 euros is just for food and like to go for a coffee. We try to keep it green, so we give them a bicycle so they can cycle around the town. And also, since Lukáš is working with us, they get free passes to Košice cinema, so they can go endlessly there and watch the movies. And how does the apartment look like? It's a completely private apartment with that. They have like writing table there, internet, and private kitchen. So really, the 700 euros is enough. And the travel expenses are reimbursed up to 100 euros, which can be sometimes complicated for people who want to travel, I don't know, from India. But we didn't have residents from India, so now it's fine. But we have some Americans applying, so sometimes we can reimburse just that. We have some requirements for the residents, but we don't want to make it very overwhelming. So when we select residents, we have just 3 very basic criteria they have to do. The first one is like a very, very brief description of the work, what they did or what they do. The second one is a short professional bio, so we have an idea, but we are very open also to students and debuts and people who haven't published yet like anything. But if they have a project, that's why we have the third criteria, which is a sample from the work you wish to focus on during the residency. So when we get like the sample and the sample makes sense to us, then we can also take a student in, and we had, I think, 2 students from Bratislava, 2 directors and screenwriters. So we took them in as well. So what's the outcome for us? The outcome is usually a public reading because we want to keep in touch with the community, or we do a workshop, or if someone is very shy, we do a media output. So we do a short article or an interview, so the local community of Košice can have like an idea of what's going on in our building and how they can maybe participate or become part of it. And I forgot last very important information. We are also +1, so some of the residents can take their child there with them, so it's not very overwhelming for parents, and we can take parents as well if they are able to keep up with their child. So that's from us. Do you have any questions?
No time for questions.
Okay.
One question.
Yeah, one quick.
How do you cover like travel expenses?
Reimburse still 100 euros.
So 100 euros.
Yeah.
Are there still discounts in the Usman bar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there is a new sale when you have their merch on, like their socks, you get free popcorn.
Ah.
So, Soňa, you're next. She comes from Malý, Berlin, which is a cultural center that she is going to tell us about. She's a deputy director there. And yeah, it's even better if you stand here maybe. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
So Vicki can hear us clearly. Yeah.
So, hello everyone. Thank you very much for having us here. We are very excited and happy that we spent this almost week in Iceland. My name is Soňa Jakubove. I'm representing culture center, independent culture center called Malý, Berlin. I will start to talk very briefly about culture center, and then I will go a little bit more deeper about the residencies. The idea about where we are situated in a very small city. Not very small city when I'm in Iceland, as I saw, in the small city called Trnava, which is on the west of Slovakia. It's very great city because it's just 30 minutes by train from our capital city, Bratislava, and there are very good connections to Budapest, Prague, or Vienna. How and when did it started? Malý, Berlin was established at 2018, but we organized a lot of events even before, but we didn't have our own space. This is how it looked like before. We are in the city center right next to Main Square. This is how it looks like now. We are part of the bigger complex, except of our residency space and studio, culture center. There is also restaurant, bar, There is a small gallery which we are running, and also there is, for example, studio for the radio recordings and many different things. Yeah, so we are not just only culture center and gallery, but we are also we are partner in many international projects, and we run residencies. I will talk a little bit more about Culture Center. This is our program. We are the only one culture center in the city and the wider region. We are having 2 venues, and we organize events for almost everyone. We are trying to reach all ages and genres. So we have theater, concerts, discussions, and so. We are organizing a festival of literature called Ypsilon for the last 10 years. We started 3 years before we opened Culture Center, but we did it every time on a different spot in the city. About residency, we are having 2 types of residencies. One of them are short-term residencies, which are more for local people in neighboring countries, but at the same time we are having long-term residencies who are 2 types. We are hosting residents, theoretics, such as architects, curators, culture managers, researchers. We started with this because in the beginning we didn't have a studio, so we were looking for people who don't need an artistic space. But for the last 2 years, we got an amazing studio right in the complex which I showed. So we started to run residencies for visual artists as well. As I mentioned, it's mostly 2 to 3 months long. What I found a little bit longer than to compare what we heard here during this week. Yeah, this is how looks like the studio. It's very new. It's a reconstruction of private investor, which is pretty rare in Slovakia. That investor who is originally from Trnava wanted to help the city. So he did this reconstruction. What is important to say, we are independent organization, so he didn't affect any of our dramaturgy or programming. And about studio, it's very big and huge, especially in terms of height. So we are looking for artists who are working with large-scale installations or sculptures or painters, because we would like to really get used to this. These are some of our residents who we hosted. For example, architect and researcher from Bahrain, or we had a translator from Ukrainian language to Slovak language. And it was because in Slovakia we are a lack of translators from this language, so we did this opportunity for them to come, and we arrange meetings with professionals from literature, and they are trying to get used to everything. Yeah, this is our website where you can check our open calls. Yeah, I didn't mention that we are doing open calls 2 to 3 times per year. Usually it's not focused to any topic, but mostly to country, because we are doing it through the partnerships with organizations in countries, and they are helping us to spread open call to their artists or researchers. Yeah, so if you have any questions.
One quick question, allowed.
So you don't have writers or only?
We are open to have writers, but we didn't have yet, just the translator. We are doing this festival of literature. What we found out very interesting to host writer, especially during those months when we have this festival. So they can be also part of the event
And when is it?
in November.
Opportunity, Wallers. Thank you, Soňa. So, next up, Zuzana Bodnárová, curator and co-founder. There.
Yeah,
There
it's
we-
still me.
Yes,
curator,
and you have
co-founder.
almost 30 slides,
Yeah,
Zuzana.
sorry for this.
It will be like a movie.
Yeah. As you see, you have beautiful spots for selfie here in Iceland. Soňa, the same photos with the other face. Hello, everybody. This is me. You already recognize me, and my partner, Svetopľúk. We are a couple, and we moved from Prague 2009. I'm curator. He called me executive director, and he is, of course, art director. He's visual artist and academic teacher. And we established Banská Stanica Contemporary platform. And many people ask me, what does it mean, Banská Stanica, with these two strange gaps? It's Banská Štiavnica, the name of the city where we moved. It's in the middle of, I want to say nowhere, but it's in the middle of Slovakia, of course. And it's look very pretty, nice. Banská Štiavnica, it's on the list of UNESCO. So it's, the city center is too pretty for living, but enough nice for tourists. And according the amount of citizens, I call it we are village, but it's a city. We are under 10,000 citizens. When we came 2009, it was up, and now it's falling, still falling down. Do you remember Banská Stanica? What does it mean? Why Stanica, station? Because in 2009, 10 years, we rented a train station for our activity. So this is picture from our very, very, very first event. And we started their residency program. We are mostly focused to production, or we are ready to supporting the new art pieces during the residencies. So it's not a relaxing time, it can be, but we are ready to help do something with the artist. So very different things. Also, we are doing the concerts there. And according to the new pieces, we use the waiting hall for a monumental work. As you see, everything was done during the residency. We also, from the very beginning, start to publish the art books, very various one, photo books, book of illustration, everything. Then after 10 years, I was too tired. So I decided, okay, let's go to the city center because the station building is on the periphery. So we moved to the city center, to the school, former school building. We are there for 10 years, and we have the third floor. It's approximately 500 square meter. And in the first floor, we have a small gallery, like 140 square meters. So still, we are only two person working for this. So these are our guest studio. We have two guest studios plus two rooms for living. It's, I have to say it's formal classroom. So with the big windows, nice view, a lot of lights. We are more focused on visual artists, but we already hosted some translator, some philosopher, musicians, and so on. And this is from photo from last week. Our 2 months residents from Italy, Alessia, just left. So this looks after the studio looks like this after the successful residency full of art. But we also did some site-specific project with the architects. For example, this wooden structure with Juraj Gábor. And our second, like, it's our main focus is printing residency. Every year we hosted 5 selected artists to develop together the editions printing work. And this is the webpage focus on editions, because some of the pieces we are also selling, and this is income for our budget. Yeah. Yeah, that was Banská Štiavnica in the middle of Slovakia. And from this summer, we will start the residency in Bratislava, in Dom Vaněk, House Vaněk, in a former family house of one Slovak visual artist, which died almost 10 years ago. And this was last year first preview of the space for the public. And this residency will be focused on a ceramic residency, because he was working at ceramic with a clay he was sculptor. This is from, it was Valentine's Day, so it's the February event. And this is view into the studio. So you can delete all people and everything. So this is the studio which will be ready for a first resident during the, it's empty, during the summertime, yeah. And how we are selecting all these artists. I'm curator, so Svetopluk is artist, so we already know some interesting portfolios. We are very open to some advice from abroad. We have some spy in each country, so we usually ask them for advice, interest. If we would like to make some wooden structure in a forest, we know that these architects are interested. Let's call them if they know about somebody. So, and we have like 2 parallel residents in Banská Štiavnica, and one will be in Bratislava from the summertime. And according the budget and the financial things, we try to put together the money and then invest the money into to some project or to some artist. But from the COVID time, we have self-paid opportunity, which from your perspective, it's very ridiculous. It's 250 euro for 1 month. So if this money we used only for cover the electricity, heating, and all these things in a building. So, but we are able to host the artist who is able to pay also this very symbolic small money. But then it's not supported from our side. Yeah. And these are our contacts and free ships, because we are also open to families. If you have dog, you can come with a dog. It's countryside, yeah. Banská Stanica, this is Instagram. These are free webpage. Dom Vaněk is not operating till now, but I promise I will put some picture there. And this is the Facebook, and of course, Blue Sky. Thank you.
Thank you, Zuzana.
It was quickly, huh?
Yes. You did well. You did well. And of course, we will share all contacts and website and so on to all of you. Next, Andrej Poliak. So,
Hello, everybody.
this
This is also really not my cup of coffee. Present. We are a small civic organization called Periférne centrá. It means peripheral centers. We are in a small village called Dubravica, focused for visual art. the organization is founded by visual artists, but later we began to work with architects and designers. We are focused to for site-specific work to create public space in our village or surrounding landscape. We have a couple of objects in the landscape around. We are running ex-kindergarten of the village, which we changing to cultural center. We are still designing this space because space was empty, so that's why we called architect and artist to fill the space of mobiliar, of everything what is needed. So this is our goal or our focus. We have in the garden we have small amphitheater which still is building of our activities of our residents. We have also this residency, this format for painters. You could see in a big studio, we can paint, artists can paint a really huge canvas, which is every year installed in a grocery shop in the village center. We had already about 12 several painters. The art piece is installed there all year. We call artists, like Zuzana said before, we have the same way of work. We pay to artists. We call them to help us to create these public spaces in a village. How I said before, we are focused for also to work with architects. So it's one of our project. It's small studio. It will be small landscape studio. These are my colleagues. We build also the public sauna as a result of a residential program with Czech group of architects. We have also garden where we plant vegetable. It can be used for with artists. We have also like a greenhouse which we build as a product of architects. And probably that's all of my residence, of my pictures. We have quite useful web page, so you can check everything there. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrej.
Thank you too.
Question for Andrej?
Yeah.
Okay, then we just move on. Veronika Juricová. Juricová. Oh yeah, I forgot to test the pronunciation before. Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Oof. I'm pretty nervous, sorry. So, hi everyone, my name is Veronika and I came from the future European Capital of Culture, Trenčín. Okay, so I would like to start with a quick question. Do you ever heard about this project? Yeah, perfect, because fun fact, in 2000 Reykjavik was European Capital of Culture with another cities like Krakow or Prague. So before I start about this project, I would like to say something really briefly about Trenčín. So northwest of Slovakia, 8th biggest city. So it's one of the smallest cities in Slovakia. We have about 58,000 inhabitants. We are really close to the Czech borders, and it's not so far to Bratislava. It's like hour and a half by car to the capital. And yeah, what is the best in our city that we have this beautiful castle, but that's not everything. We have a huge river very close to the city center, and a lot of hills, and it's a really great city for the living. And as I'm sorry, and we have big plans for this castle. It's medieval castle. It's one of the biggest in Slovakia, and it will be also a residency. So, finger crossed for us, please. I'm not only representative of city of Trenčín, but I'm also representing this amazing team. We are part of the Creative Institute Trenčín, which is responsible for implementing title of European Capital of Culture in the city. And we are now about 50 people, and we start like a really small group of 10 people. Sorry. Yeah, we are founded by city, half of city and half region, and we have budget from city and the region, and our biggest budget is from Ministry of Culture of Slovak Republic, and we use this money for artistic content, but also for infrastructure to improve roads and buildings and so on. Yeah. And something about the project, it started in 1985, so it will celebrate 50th anniversary this year, so yeah. And we held this title for the next year with Finnish city Oulu. And it's a really, really important project for our city because it's a really transformative project which will change the lives in the city and also in the region. And what people are thinking is it's just 1 year of huge events like concerts, workshops, and so on. But with the culture, we want to change whole city. And as a tool, we use curiosity. We started with awakening, and now we are cultivating the curiosity because we believe that with the curiosity we can change people's minds to be more open. They can find solutions and connect with other people, not only in the city but in the whole Europe. And sorry, this is some comment. Thanks to this project, the abandoned places are coming to life. So, for example, we teach people that we need to care about the public space. We learn people in the city halls that we need to care and about the public space. We create guidelines for protecting the whole areas, and we also learn people and citizens that they can make a culture in their streets, in the city parts, not only in the city center. Also, we opened and we started capacity buildings programs for volunteers, for example, and also for culture managers in Slovakia, also in Czech Republic. And also, of course, experiences are coming up with the artistic content, and we are connecting with Europe. For example, we are finishing the project with Buddha, thanks to Norwegian funds. It's called Treble More Culture, and we are also connecting mainly with our Finnish partners. But we are really open to find partners also in here, in Iceland. And what is more important, we are starting with a residency program, Trnava. It is really, really just launching. We found a perfect house with a huge garden close to the city center, and we are setting up the atelier and all the things. And we also have this several projects in this field. You can see where we will look for artists. So thank you for your curiosity. Thanks, Laura and EI found grants for money for this project. Thank you.
Thank you. So there was a missing line to Iceland. We have to make something about that. Well, because we are moving over to Iceland. So Martinas from SEAM Residencies, one of the biggest residency programs in Iceland.
Well, we will see how it looks like on presentation. So thank you very much. I have prepared a very specific speech here, but I think I'm going to put it on the side and try to cut it shorter. Congratulations with your international project, since we have so few run throughout the year and in general in Iceland. So it's wonderful to see a great outcomes that brings a creative perspective to Iceland and creates an incredible opportunities for the Icelandic artists as well. So my name is Martinas. As you probably recognize, it doesn't sound any Icelandic a bit. Actually, I could do probably a second presentation here, but I'm originally from Lithuania, and that was my journey to Iceland actually through the SEAM residency. I was sent here by the project, which is called a Young Enterprise throughout the old Baltic countries, Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia. And I was granted here for the 2-month residency program at SEAM Residency back in 2013. So after spending here those 2 incredible months here, meeting other practitioners from all around the world that all have been joined here at SEAM Residency program, I honestly say my plane never left, and I just decided to stay here and move because I felt so inspired as well. To being here, Reykjavik is even a small capital compared with any other capitals looking into Europe or other Nordic countries, but hosts an incredible spectrum of artisan spaces, museums, galleries, and cultural life is all year round. So as well as a great opportunities for the international artists. Which one? I'm pressing the green one, right?
No, you're pushing the arrow to left, right?
Yeah. I'm a director of SEAM Residency, and the SEAM Residency was established by the Icelandic Visual Artists Association, one of the largest artists association in Iceland, that today hosts 970 members in the association itself. And the association established residency program back in 2002, and at that time there were no actually any residency programs around the capital of the city Reykjavik. And since then, residency program was gradually growing, starting per month having only 4 artists, but already back in 2002, we started to receive hundreds of applications from all around the world that wanted to take part in the residency programs in Reykjavik. And today we host over 20 artists per month for a residency programs. Residency program is self-sustainable without receiving any operational grants from the Ministry of Culture or City of Reykjavik. Although, as later I will show you in a presentation as well, we are very grateful for City Reykjavik because we have a rental agreements for our housings with the City Reykjavik, and City Reykjavik partly definitely supports us covering the costs for the housing, as well as a state supports one of our creative centers. The only multidisciplinary residency program within Reykjavik, so we are the only ones who run the residency program throughout the whole year. And of course, as the Visual Artists Association, primarily we established the residency program for the visual artists. But for the past years, we have noticed that we started to receive incredible amounts and interest from multidisciplinary artists, musicians, composers, architects, and choreographers, dancers, etc. And that's why we decided to open our residency as well to all practitioners. So today, every month, we have the practitioners joining the residency program from various fields, which is very beneficial for the visual artists, of course, definitely, to have such an inspiring and and created mixture of practitioners. Yes, the residency program is the largest in Iceland, at least so far, and as well looking into the other residency programs throughout the other Nordic countries. And throughout over 22 years running the residency program, we have created over 20,000 of network channels as international artists, collaborators, art institutions, foundations, and various grant programs. Yes. And as I mentioned, so we have a support from the city of Reykjavik under the rental agreement. We have two beautiful historical houses in the city of Reykjavik. Our main center is our SEAM office, which is very downtown in Hafstræti 16. And we have a SEAM office, SEAM residence office as well. We have a little SEAM gallery, and we have a SEAM guest house. The SEAM guest house serves as a self-directed and self-funded residency center, where mainly artists and cultural practitioners stay for a short time periods. For example, museums organizing the exhibitions, and they inviting artists as well to set up the exhibition. So most commonly, all those artists that taking part in the Icelandic art scene, they stay in our guest house. As well, we have lecturers, professors who temporarily coming to City Reykjavik to give lectures in the art academy, for example. And those artists who are coming toward the residency programs, for example, as well, and they choose our guest house as well as a short stopover while they crossing to the other residency programs in the countryside, for example, in Iceland. And then Korpusstaðir is the historical farm in Iceland as well, one of the largest historical buildings throughout the Nordic countries. And we have a whole hub of creators in the house. SEAM has 37 studios for its members. And we have the largest exhibition space, which is called SEAM Glödloftet. We have a meeting room, and as well we have 7 individual bedroom studios with joint facilities for international residency program. And our main houses always has been, one of the main houses has been Seljavegur 32, that we received under as well rental agreement with the state, and it has been the largest our residency apartment in the very downtown office in Reykjavik. And we host 12 artists per month, and so jointly, both together, around 160 residencies, depending on the length of how long artists are applying, from 1 or 3 months. We are curating individual residency programs. And Seljavegur as well hosts over 40 studios of our members of SEAM that live here in the Reykjavik downtown neighborhood. And yes, our aims, of course, provide and support creative environment, facilitate cultural exchange, promote interdisciplinary collaboration, engage with the local community, support professional development, explore the local environments. And now about the residency programs very shortly. To understand it better, because we run so many complex residency, different residency formats. So I would say our main residency programs that we run, it is a self-funded residencies that last from 1 up to 3 months, depending for the length of the time for how long artists are applying. And artists has to seek the funding for themselves, which means covering everything and covering the residency fee, travel costs, stipendium grants, and support themselves for self-catering or per diem, as we would count it. Then, SEAM, by running the residency program, we managed to establish numerous long-lasting collaborations for across residencies between the Nordic countries, European art centers, etc., where Icelandic artists being sent, let's say, to Banta, Guttor's artist residency, and then we receive the artists from Banta. Same, we have collaborations with the Budapest gallery and etc. And then we have funded residencies. If we apply for the funding, and mainly we have been successful on receiving grants from the Nordic Baltic Mobility Program for Culture by securing the funding and inviting artists for particular residency programs. But this is the only way for us up to date to offer a funded or granted residencies for international artists to come to Reykjavik or Iceland in general. And of course, then we have the partnerships with the numerous foundations. For example, Finnish Cultural Foundation sends 2 artists, each artist for 3-month residency program here in Reykjavik. And yeah, open call is general open call is twice a year, and we receive around 1,200 applications per year from all around the world. And then our residency focus. Mainly throughout our open call, we ask artists to propose their aims or their research projects, why they want to come to the residency program, why they want to come particularly in Iceland, and what are the urgencies, why they want to join the residency programs. So by the followed United Nations and the Nordic Council of Ministers, our residency primarily focused on ecology, environmental crisis, postmodern society, and of course, we give a lead for the project proposals towards the Icelandic culture, nature, languages, etc. And this is just a quick review on it from the Nordic culture point, because we currently running in Corpus Stadir 2-month residency program during the February and March. We have received a grant, and we have 7 Nordic Baltic artists. And because the United Nations has announced the year 2025 as the glacier preservation. And in March 21, it's a major international lectures, and as well in Iceland, the major venues will be held. So our focus of this 2-month residency is towards the Icelandic glaciers. And we're inviting 7 artists to explore on site, organizing lectures and meeting local scientists. And on the 22nd of March, we will have a group exhibition in Corpus Stadir, topics towards the environmental crisis and effect on the Icelandic glaciers. So maybe I will stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martinez. Few more slides from him.
Oops.
But yes, Alda.
Yeah.
Yes. How many slides are you going to show us? Yes. No, so yes, we have 3 more, but we will do it quickly. Just very spóla svolítið hratt og hérna svona. But here we have Alda Sigurðardóttir, who has been running the Gullkistan Residency for years.
Já, takk hérlega fyrir að bjóða mér og þetta er ofboðslega gaman. Íslenska, já. Thank you. It was really great to listen to all of this energy over there. I actually was in Bulgaria 2 years ago and I did this lecture. I had very little time to do this. So I'm recycling a lecture and trying to adjust it to this very important thing that you are doing here. So I'm an artist, but I also studied to be a nurse. I worked in theater. I was a very active artist for maybe 10 years of my life after I finished art school, on all kinds of boards and stuff, but was here in Reykjavik.
Høyri bara, öri til høyri.
So, yeah, so all this led up to me being with Gullkistan. I just want to put this into some kind of context. So I was doing this for the Bulgarian. I was like in this project helping Bulgarians to establish residencies in the rural far north part of Bulgaria. So it was for the people who knew nothing about artists and nothing about residencies that I was speaking, actually. So to show So Bulgaria and Iceland are very similar in size, and Slovakia is about half the size of Iceland and Bulgaria. But it's important to notice also that Iceland is only habited on the outskirts. We don't have any people in the whole middle part. You have people everywhere. This village here is like 70 kilometers east of Reykjavik, in only of very few like flat areas with a lot of farming. And it's a little school village based on school started there in the late 20s. It has hot springs and this beautiful lake. And this is where the residency is now. You can see it here. It's an old service house for the camping site. The Levat has like a long history of artists actually being there. It's on the Golden Circle road to Gullfoss and Geysir. Maybe you have been taken there. Everybody's taken there. So on the way there would all the tourists go. Even in the old days when travelers didn't have any photographers, they brought artists to document their trips. So these are very old travel things, but then after the school started, it was used as a hotel in summer, and the minister felt artists were important, so he wanted the artists to be brought there to work. They could work there in the summer. So writer Laxness wrote a big part of independent people there. There were a lot of painters, composers. So it's been a big part of art history in Iceland. And like this first painter who has many paintings in the National Gallery was obsessed with painting Hekla from that place. And he has this great thing that he said to a farmer who came up to him when he was painting a little bird's bush, and the farmer said, "Oh, why do you paint this ugly bush?" And he said, "Well, everything is beautiful." So it's a very, how artists think is completely different. And so I moved there in '93 after I finished art school, and was the nurse in the village for 2 years. And a friend of mine from art school was also living there, and we had this idea to do a project in this old school building, which is by the same architect, like a Korpúlstaðir art residency house, based on this shape. So we actually invited artists to come. We thought maybe we could ask them to work in old dorm rooms. But we had 150 people festival with concerts and art outside and inside in all the buildings in Reykjavik, in Levat, like 4 school buildings, restaurants, the lake and the forest, everywhere. So it was a big event, and we did the same thing in 2005, 10 years later. And then we thought, oh, all the artists want to come to Iceland, we need to do something about that. So we started working on this idea that we need to reach farther, we need to get the people of the world to come to this wonderful place to work. So for 4 years, we were trying to get housing and stuff, and then to get that house, but the ministry didn't believe in this idea at all. So we ended up renting apartments in these apartment houses, 1 apartment, 1 summer, and a little place to work in. And we launched. So this happens very quickly, when you get an idea, just go for it. So we launched the website. Facebook had just started, so we could have a Facebook page. And we joined Dress Artists, so we started. And then for the first year, it was just this. And second year, so yeah, we put up the office on the internet, the application form, and how to do all. You know all this, There's no office, but what's this?
Don't know. Something
you were fiddling
special.
With it? Okay, we got the first up. So we started the webpage April 1st, and the first artists were coming in June 1st. So we were just like, it was like, I don't know, do you know this like feeling? When the first catch is like catching a fish or something like that. And then for this one, we gave all our artists a bag, because we tell them you have to have your bag when you walk around the village, so people don't think you're a tourist. They have to know that you live here.
Good
And
idea.
then they send us photographs when they come home with the bag. It's really great. So it's from 3 big cities around the world. So anyway, then, so I wanted to look inside of this like life there, the us and the artists and the surroundings that we provide. So I was explaining what is an artist to the people I was approaching. You can read this fast, but you all know what an artist, you know, what his elements, the essence of an artist, the way he thinks and works, and how he's a lone person working and a puppet person when he shows his work or sells his books. Let's take a minute to read that one. And when you've read all this, you know that artists are very important people. And because they have a very strong voice when they want to. They look at things from so many different viewpoints. And they do a lot of fun things, you know, it's great. So, so the residency that we provide, you know, it has, of course, the general elements of surroundings, like we talk about cities, downtown, whatever, and then you have housing. But what we are doing is creating a home, a safe space where they can work, where there is trust and understanding and someone to help or assist, answer questions, to support the artist to do his work. And of course, hopefully for the local community to benefit from that as well. So this is very rural. The village has 200 inhabitants, plus 200 who are in dorms in the high school, in the Mitter. So it's really tiny. But it has all this thermal power and this from up from the mountains. So you see there's a lot of nature, and I often say, so people say, oh, so what's the workspace? Well, it's the workspace, but there's always the pool and the hike along the lake, the gorges, it's a huge workspace. It's endless. But these are the 2 houses here again. So you can see inside people working, or they go up to Gullfoss and work there. And this has a view across the lake. And on good days like this morning, when I woke up there for a visit, you see Hekla on the other side, the volcano, and just all the flatness of the southern region. And you see them, they group up, they go places together. They, of course, they very often, very strong friendships are developed. And these are multidisciplinary, there are all kinds of artists. And yeah, they go on trips together. This is like maybe pictures that show a little bit the community. Yeah, it's all kinds of crossings, and this, of course, goes on long beyond when they leave. And these are to show that how they, are interacting with the community. We have all kinds of workshops, or they have lectures, or we go to the sheep gathering together, or like the Independence Day walk, and I take them places sometimes if I see I have to have this person meet someone I know, like a composer going to the organ builder, or and someone going into school to teach chess, but the children ask her, start to discuss with her disability, like her mobility. So like this, they see all kinds. High school has come often, children come very much to visit. Did it move?
Yeah, there are too many pictures.
Okay, this. So this is
You have to hurry.
this guy has been with us 7 times. Yes, he's all kinds of workshops with children, and this is just to show that there's also, of course, always media exhibitions where people come and see what the artists have been doing. We had an anniversary exhibition at the LA Art Museum 20 years after the first art festival. So that's the co-founder. Now I'm this one here, this Blake. Now I'm just doing this alone. And of course, yeah, we survived COVID. We invited some Icelandic artists, just to have life in the house. And this is about, all kinds of cooperation stuff that we have, like especially I want to mention the school in Tartu, where we had like 30 now teachers and students come regularly, and of course the ITEAS factory in Bulgaria, which is these ladies there. So last 2 years I was in this program called Revitalizing Villages in northern Bulgaria, and just to show you a sample, so this was an old bakery that we visited, and then during the 2-3 months later it was all artists living with the local people, and they renovated a lot of spaces that are now used by the people. They did just amazing things, and we went back to see all that. It was like, I swear I was crying. It was so unbelievable what the artists had done. And these girls are coming back here in April because I'm with them in another project. How we all start to stick together when we get to know each other in this program. So I can, oh my God, hi, Joe. So we are starting, so next month, there come 10 people from Bulgaria to here, and now we are going to do like a hot spring research thing, because they have a lot of hot springs. And it's going to be all about bathing culture. So we'll be going to a lot of swimming pools, and then me and 3 artists from here are going also for a week to Bulgaria late.
Yes,
Byrjunna.
all the way to the
Getur ekki
beginning.
fundið bara skallið?
No, but you are also running out of time.
Yeah, I'm almost finished. Yeah, this was like very fast. I didn't, of course, yeah. I hope it just gives you a little idea. This is like very rural. It's with the nature. It's very welcoming to everyone. There's never any obligations on anybody. They come to work on whatever an artist has to deal with at that time. So I want to, yes, there was a little bit there in the middle, I want to say. A little bit farther. Yeah, so no. Oh, you don't even want me to touch it again. Oh, yeah, just like I was saying, the fruits, that's the products out of all this. Of course, people open their exhibitions around the world, and I already have some library with all the books from the writers. And that's just so rewarding, of course, to see all that. And yeah, the next one. And yeah, so this is a waterfall, like we call it the secret spot. You don't have to go to Gullfoss to see something fantastic. And that just for, as a final, the Indian writer, this woman, and she was with us 11 years ago. She lives in Delhi, well-known artist there, and she wanted to come to Iceland to experience silence, to use it in her book. 3 years ago, her book, Tomb of Sand, got the International Booker Prize. Yeah, and so it takes often a long time and it's always very exciting every time. Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
How long?
You're all done. Too long. Sorry. No. But it's but we are. But next it's up to me, so I can be very, very short. I need to be very, very short. But I've already introduced myself, so just briefly about this, about Skriðuklaustur and the Klaustrið residency program that was founded actually in 1989. So I believe it's one of the oldest in Iceland. It was founded when we were celebrating the 100 years anniversary of Gunnar Gunnarsson, who was born in 1889. And so then it has been a part of the Gunnar Gunnarsson Institute since 1997, since the institute was founded. And we can say that we have had annual open call since 2000, and so regular residents since then. Part of the objectives of the institute is to run a residency. So we are funded mainly by the state. So we have the Gunnar Gunnarsson Institute has a contract with the state, and we get our funding through that. And part of the obligations that we have is actually to run the residency. So it is. So there's no stipendum or grants that we give with it usually, except if we can get it from somewhere else. But people are not paying for the stay, so it's a self-funded residency, we can say. The only thing that is they need to pay 70 euros as a confirmation fee. That was just to try to guarantee that we have less of cancellations. Not working fully though. Maybe we have to raise it. Just a little bit about the space. It's a little as from, you can see the windows of the apartment there on this picture, and then we go inside. So it's a nice apartment there in the end of the mansion of Gunnar Gunnarsson, and the space is cozy, but the working space is maybe more for writing than to working as a visual artist. But we are open to all kinds of applications from all sorts of creative people, and they have been staying there also. There's a piano actually in the apartment, so composers are coming, and we could say that the average stay it's about 3 to 4 weeks. Our criteria is foremost the quality of the project, so we ask for a project description when people are applying, and then of course the resume, and priority we have for those who are working with the works of or life of Gunnar Gunnarsson, and also something that concerns East Iceland in art or research. So we can say that our call is open more or less, but we have this deadline on 15th of June to apply for the next calendar year. So, and then the residents are selected by the board, or Skotta and me, more Skotta now, and about the board actually, which has members from the Writers Association, the university, and Árnastofnun, and also from the local area. So they review the applications in September. We get this 30-50 applications per year. So we do some 10 to 14 residencies per year. And then we have this waiting list of Icelanders that we try to use to fill in the gaps and bridge all our cancellations, which always happens. But that was Klaustrið at Skriðuklaustur. So now it's a question if we can get Vicki O'Shea from Skagastrand actually here to finish this section, which is way out.
Okay.
But Vicki is there.
Yes, I am. I'm just going to see if I can share
Yes.
my screen. That's not working.
It's not working.
No.
Try again.
Oh, okay. I have. I'm clicking on it. Oh, okay. I see. There we go.
There it comes. Perfect. So,
Okay.
5 minutes, Vicki.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll be quick.
Thanks for welcoming us yesterday.
You're very welcome. It was lovely. Okay. So, my name's Vicki O'Shea, an Australian who has lived in Iceland for nearly 15 years. I'm a businesswoman with an art degree in printmaking and has served as the director of NES for almost 11 years. NES operates under the oversight of a board, but I am the only staff member, demonstrating that a residency can be successfully managed on a small budget. NES was founded in 2008 and is now in its 17th year. Although owned by the municipality of Skagastron and Björn, we function as a non-profit organisation. NES is primarily self-funded, receiving less than 1 million krona annually for operation from government sources. Let me see, how do I go to, yes. NES operates from a converted fishing factory, offering 10 to 12 workspaces in an open plan environment. We currently accept 9 to 12 artists each month and maintain an open call year round. We find the open call, which means artists can apply at any time, makes it easier for us to fill spaces if an artist withdraws at the last minute. Since our establishment in 2008, we have welcomed over 1,800 artists from 52 different countries. Our selection process focuses on work quality, diversity of practices, and representation from various age groups and nationalities, including emerging, mid-career, and established artists. We find that a diverse mix of artists enhances collaboration and networking opportunities, often leading to lifelong friendships that foster connections across the countries. Artists can stay for periods ranging from 1 to 6 months. The Immigration Department now offers long-term visas for artists, allowing those from outside the EU to stay for up to 6 months. Additionally, we provide 2-week stays in partnership with a local guest house during the off-peak season, outside of the summer tourism for those unable to stay longer. NES operates as a fee-paying residency, charging €850 for a 1-month single-person residency, which increases to €950 for the month during the 3 summer months. The fee includes accommodation and a workspace, while artists are responsible for their travel, food, and material costs. NES does not offer funding to artists unless we secure a grant for a specific project. In recent years, we've received grants for 2 light-up projects in January, allowing us to invite 8 to 9 artists working with light to illuminate the town during our darkest season. With grant funding, we were able to provide free residency and cover equipment costs for this event. Another initiative under development is a public art project aimed at increasing public art in Skagastron. Last year, we provided both accommodation and compensation to an artist to create the camera obscura structure, Let Your Eyes Adjust,
where visitors can enter and see the reflection of Spalknefell, our mountain, on the inside. One of the most beneficial decisions was to purchase our own house for accommodations, as previously renting from the council and private sector led to complications such as properties being sold. This caused us to expend considerable energy relocating furniture and finding new spaces. Our current house has 2 apartments. The upper apartment features 7 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, kitchen, dining, etc., and a very popular sauna. And the lower apartment includes 3 bedrooms, a sunroom, kitchen, lounge, etc. Occasionally, we rent the entire lower apartment to families, addressing a common issue since few residencies accept families. NES also offers alternate spaces for writers, dancers and musicians. The town of Skagastrand is very welcoming to artists, and we rent these additional spaces as needed. The University of Iceland kindly provides us with free 24/7 access to their research library for writers. And we host numerous writers, typically at least 1 per month, often more. NES has facilities available for dancers and musicians. And if musicians require a piano, we can arrange this through the local music school. We pay fees for these extra spaces and charge the artists accordingly. We don't make a profit on that, but we just add the charge to their costs. One of our favourite initiatives, supported by a modest amount of funding, is our year-round Artist in Schools program, which has been running since 2013. This program brings artists to local and nearby schools in the Northwest, and an opportunity that is deeply appreciated by the schools. We pay the artists a small fee for their contributions. In recent years, the program has introduced students to a diverse range of experiences, including performance, photography, filmmaking, design, animation, screen printing, sculpture, drawing, music, crafts, ceramics, creative writing, and dance. We do not impose significant pressure on the artists. We only ask that they participate in 2 events, artist talks with their fellow artists during the first week and giving an overview of each artist's practice, and an open studio event at the end of the month where the community is invited to view and chat with the artists. Overall, the residency and the influx of artists have greatly enriched the town of Skagastrand, fostering a warm embrace from the community that actively includes artists in various activities when they're on in the town. Many artists return to NES repeatedly. Last year, we welcomed 11 artists who had previously spent time with us, which indicates that we are doing something right. We find that the artists often seek to connect with others and escape the distractions of everyday life, and our town, with its very few distractions, but has a stunning environment, provides the perfect retreat they need. Okay, end.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you. That was
short and sweet.
That was great. So, yeah, you can stop sharing your screen.
Yes, I'm just going to find that little button. Thank you.
I think we will just skip the launching of this fake launch of the handbook. So you just have the QR code there to get it, and we will also, of course, distribute and share it with you afterwards. But let's take 5 minutes break now. 5. Yeah. Yeah, you can. You just have to. And we need a little bit of air, I believe, into the room as well. So while we rearrange for the panel, and well, we have some refreshments if they have not taken them. I didn't check. But we can take it into the room. That's allowed. Vicki, you're probably still sharing your screen. So you need to press the button stop sharing at the top of your screen.
Everybody knows.
We are doing a little break here. Yeah, there you got it. Because I just wanted to.
Sorry, I was out of the room.
Yeah, we are taking a little break here, just to give you the QR code thereof. Of our hosts, residency host handbook. Next part of the last part. Oh, what a contraction. It's, well, we will have a panel. We will have a panel, and we will just see those who have to go exactly at 6 o'clock. They just have to leave. We will just pause for 2 minutes or something. But let's start this part of this event. And Gunnarsson, you can lead and moderate.
Thank you. Yes, hello, nice to meet you all. My name is Gunnarsson, which is the budget version of Gunnar Gunnarsson, the author. I'm a manager at the Reykjavik City Libraries, and I'm also from the East, where all good things come from. So I was asked to be here today with you. We already heard from Laura Kristína, and we heard from Alda, but we have new artists here to join us. Þorvaldur Sigurbjörn Helgason or Bjarkey Ólafsdóttir. I think it would be nice to hear a little bit from you guys. You're not managing a residency. You have been to, Bjarkey has been to 2005, and Þorvaldur has been to 15. So it would be nice to hear a little bit from you guys as you've been you've been enjoying the residencies. This is all very homey. It's very important not to take yourself too seriously. So, Þorvaldur, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your experience of residencies.
Hello, my name is Þorvaldur. I'm a writer and part-time musician and project manager, ex-journalist. I do many things. I currently work in Icelandic University of the Arts. But yeah, I'm mainly a writer in my spare time, and I did the Košice residency in 2023 in the summer, and it was absolutely lovely. I wrote the first draft of a novel there. I'm still working on. but since I have a full-time job, it's I don't have a lot of time to work on it. So I'll probably have to do another residency soon to finish it. And yeah, I don't know what else you want to know. I've been to several residencies already, and I think my first one was with Skuli in Skriðuklustur almost 10 years ago in 2016. That was for a performing arts project. And since then I've also done residencies in France and Canada and in another place in Iceland. Yeah, it's just a fantastic opportunity to be able to go somewhere and work intensely for a couple of weeks or even months.
Thank you. Björn?
Yeah, hi. My name is Björn Olsdottir. I'm a visual artist and a filmmaker. And I also write sometimes poetry and prose. I did some preparation for this panel, and I have been to 31 residencies. So, yeah. And I've been to, for example, Skriðuklustur, and the reason why I went there is because my mom is from the East, and I spent my childhood summers in the East. So it was kind of to revisit the East. I've also been to the West, where Elizabeth has a great history, even though I have no family connections. But my name is from West, Björn. It's from the East, one of the Viking cells that is there in the West. Yes. What do you want me to say about residencies?
Good things.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they are so. I mean, there are so many different residencies in the world, so it really depends on what you're after.
Then let's talk about the importance of residencies.
The importance.
I would like to take over again. So thank
Okay.
you. I would like to hear your thoughts about the value of residencies. And Laura, I would like to ask you, how do residencies contribute to fostering cross-culture dialogue and understanding?
Excuse me, can you speak a bit about the...
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
You can also move to the front. There's empty
We don't know
seats.
if people are coming back.
Oh, it's back.
It's their seat. It's our seat.
It's our
Just
seat.
Yeah.
Come here.
Come down here, Elizabeth.
Yeah, so I think I don't really want to speak about, like going abroad is always very interesting and seeing new people, but I think what is like a very important trend in cross-cultural conversation is rethinking the way we are looking on things and what we consider important in art. Because I think it's always the big part of every conference or residency conference you go to rethink who are we want in our residencies and how can we make them more accessible, and what are the issues that other people are facing when they want to go to residencies. So I think it really makes us more empathetic in the process of choosing the people. For example, we have to think that what if person needs a visa to go to the residency? So we're not so Western centric and we are not doing like people only in Central Europe, but we also try, to get different cultures to Europe or Europeans to different countries. And I think this is the important part of the, the cross-cultural conversation, to actually be able to understand the needs of other people and how can we help them and get them to the places. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really changing, and we are turning somewhere to the better directions. We have established, there's this artist at risk residency. So we are actually thinking about artists who are in several danger, and we adapt to this. And I think it helps us to overcome some issues, and it helps to unify us as artists, cultural managers, and cultural workers in a way.
Mm-hmm. Have you witnessed any unexpected or surprising cultural exchange emerging through your residency programs?
I mean, it's always very sweet. When we became the part of the Res Artists International Network, I think the countries from Eastern Europe have the tendency to say that we are nothing or we are just small country who doesn't matter, and things like that. And when we became the part of Res Artists, you now have 60 people who want to come to residency to Košice, which is like Eastern European small town. And I think this is a very interesting change, that people are interested in these countries, in these small countries, and they can come and want to come. So I think that when I see an applicant from, I don't know, Japan, that's a very interesting cultural change for us. But one thing that comes to my mind is, for example, when we had a Ukrainian writer staying with us, the day she was supposed to leave, I think it was actually the day you were coming, the day she was supposed to leave, Russia bombed Kiev, and she got this panic attack, and she said to us that she's not leaving, and that she's not gonna go home, and she's not gonna go back. And it was like, you have this resident coming from Iceland, and you have her in her place, and you can't send her home. So that was like, we also have to adapt to the political situation, to the landscape, and to do something with these challenges.
I could have just stayed at a hotel or something.
No, we then shipped her to Vienna, and we had like different solutions for this, but that was like an interesting problem that emerged.
How do you assess, or do you assess, the long-term impact of these cultural connections on both the artist and the local community?
Long-term connection.
Yeah, the impact of this culture. What do they leave behind?
I think when I'm working there, there's this big discussion in culture, on terms of inclusivity and how to be more inclusive. But when I'm working there in the residency, I think the bigger problem is not the inclusivity, but the aspect of participation. And that's something we would like to change, because we are writers' residency, so we are a bit limited to what we actually can do. We try to work with different cultural centers in the city. We work with our publishing house, Art Forum and Bookshop, because sometimes when we have some foreign writers there, they also have, their books published. So we do like a promo, and people can buy the books, and they visit our readings, and they know us, and we do different public readings. We do a festival with books. So I think it's a new maybe community for authors, and also a new community for people who like literature. But what I would like to do better is not only to tell people that you are welcome, but also to tell them that you can write too, and you can become a part of us, and you don't have to have a literary career to become a writer, and you don't have to be intellectual to become a writer. So I think that's what we are going to concentrate, because I think that's more long-lasting than just, having network with other cultural centers.
And then back to Iceland, Alda. What is the significance of residency programs for the communities in which they are located, like in Laugarvatn?
Yes, I saw this question. I think it's hard to say. I think it's because Laugarvatn is basically a farmer community, even though there's a school with some academics teaching there. The people living there are, almost all of them have moved from the farms around. They're not city people, so they don't come too much to the events. But I always make sure that they know what's happening, and I think that seeps in. And we get to the children, both by bringing our artists into the schools and bringing the kids from kindergarten, like from 2-year-olds up to 20. So they come for events, and they experience something that their parents never had to experience with, and meet with strange people, and it opens their minds. But I think actually that the people in the village are proud of this, but they think it's kind of weird. They go to Reykjavik for theater and things, but they're not used to being around artists. Even if I've been doing this there for 16 years. But there is always these shining lights when it happens that someone makes a friend because of something. And that has also, flourished into something. So I can't put it in a big context, but I think very valuable just for the idea of the self, that there is this place that is important.
What is do you think, the best way
to reach more out?
To ensure that the artists leave a lasting impact? Like, what's
to
the
make
best?
Sure.
What is the most effective way for you to come connect?
Almost 30 years since we had the artist festival, first one. People still remember many of the artworks. They tell me about them. Because they just like can't forget. Or yeah, and they've come too when we have to have the workshops. Especially if they can bring the kids, then they come.
Okay.
And they're not scared.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if this answers your question.
It does.
I mean, the people there are very proud that Laxness was there writing independent people because it's so famous.
Yeah.
So if they know some, like a famous artist would come, they would all come and look at it. So I don't tell them if it's somebody, important.
But what about the artists themselves, Þorvaldur? What value do residency offer?
It offers primarily the value, I think, that you get to go somewhere out of your ordinary everyday life to a new location, and just work intensively, focus on the work, and that's one thing. And then the other thing is what's already been mentioned, like the cultural connections and just the expanding of your network and your point of view just becomes bigger when you go somewhere. And I didn't really have any connections to Eastern Europe, Central Europe before I came to Košice, and now I have many connections and just learned a lot about this part of Europe that I didn't know so well before. So I'm really grateful for that. And so yeah, it's many things.
Mm-hmm. When I was young, you had no contact with Eastern Europe. There was no way. Nothing about it. Mm-hmm. But I've had one Slovakian dancer in my residency. Not many from Eastern Europe. And what I am sad about sometimes and often, maybe always, that I've had only one person from the continent of Africa, and it was a white photographer from South Africa. It seems like totally impossible for artists in Africa to travel anywhere.
It's so expensive for them.
And it's just like closed borders. It's a huge, this is sad. But Europe is all opening up, and with all this funding, and it provides so much traffic.
And what about you, Björn? Because you've been to so many residencies, have you developed any long-lasting relationships that have helped you to develop as an artist?
Yeah, I've made lots of friends, and people that I've met in residencies have come here to visit me. And then, for example, a residency I did in Riga, I've been going back and forth and doing projects with them, like pan-European projects. And some of my friends from there, they now live here in Reykjavik, and so I mean, also what has happened is that, for example, I went to a residency in Buenos Aires, and then I met people there. They were running a residency in Chile, so the year after I was in Santiago. So it's like one thing leads to another, and you make this network of friends, basically. And yeah, I mean, I think it's amazing in many ways. And then also, I mean, you learn or practice languages, or learn new languages, and you get to see new places. It's a great way to expand everything, I think, your art.
And you feel like you do more work than you, of course, would do here. People are always surprised that when they look back, wow, I did all this, much more than I had dreamed to get done,
Yeah, sometimes you work a lot, and just like in 1 month you have like a whole exhibition. And some residencies are like more maybe you have just finished a big project,
Yeah,
and
but
then
you
you
need
need to
that
kind
too,
of,
yeah.
you know, calm down and, you know,
Yeah.
kind of gather material. And then oftentimes I find that you're in a place and you're taking in, and then you may be working with material from another place. Because it takes time to kind of, you know.
Yeah, my artists work a lot when they're swimming in the pool.
Yeah, exactly.
So what happens?
But then it's like there are so many different residencies in the world. I mean, some are in nature. Like there's one residency I went to, I was basically alone in this island. It's called Kelsir in the Åland Islands. And Tove Jansson used to write there. Her friend who was a Swedish baron had this island. And basically they just brought me there and I was all alone. And they didn't tell me it's full of snakes. So
Oh my God.
There were snakes and we don't have any snakes here. And I was just like petrified. And they didn't tell me, you know, if you live in a snake island, you should bring boots. And that's just like common knowledge in some countries. And of course I didn't know that. Like I brought sandals and sneakers and it was just like, ah. But then they just taught me how to deal with it. Like you have to have a stick and, you know, make noise. And, you know, but so there are sometimes these things that people that are local, they just all know about this. But then you come from somewhere, you know, yeah, this is, but it's part of the game, you know.
What about you, Thorvaldur? Do you think you were a different artist after staying in a residency?
I don't know about that. Yes, I mean, I'm a different person. I'm a different person than I was 2 years ago, and I don't know if I could contribute all of that to the residency, but definitely some part of it. And I was just thinking that one of the beautiful things about going on a residency is that, I mean, of course, you know, writers have been going up and our artists have been going to other places to work for, you know, hundreds of years, and you can always just go somewhere. You can go to Tenerife and just work from your hotel room, but it's a little bit different. It's sort of like in between being a tourist and a guest and living somewhere else. And I think that's the beauty of it. You get to go a bit deeper into the culture than if you were just a tourist, and make more meaningful connections and just be like more mindful in the moment in many respects. So yes, of course, yeah, that's changed me, you know, going on these residencies, even though we haven't been many.
It is already 6 o'clock, so if somebody has to leave, we won't look at you with an evil eye, but you're free to go if you need to go. I wanted to ask you, Laura, what is the greatest challenges faced by residency organizers, whether public or independent?
Funding, I would say, is the first and like objectively problematic thing, because, you know, and I think it reflects the market at the same time. Like everyone is so overworked, so it's not just the funding, it's just you have to have 3 jobs to be able to be an artist and to be a cultural worker as well. So I think that working with this can always be very suffocating, and to work in this environment, sometimes I think it stops your motivation, it stops, you know, your desire to work in a different way, because when everyone is just talking about how tired they are, it's also very suffocating. But funding, you know, and state funding, especially now in Slovakia, we face, I think, the worst government we had since we becoming independent, and you have the biggest network of artists emerging in Slovakia who are now trying to, and they are supported by lawyers, and they are trying to, you know, argue with the government and to address the issues. So I think funding, but as I said, I think the cultural space is, the issues are reflected from the like social issues, and I think we have to deal with them as well. So when you have artists with, you know, poorer regions, you have to have mechanisms how to deal with that. Gender differences, you know, look at our directors, usually men. So I think we really just reflect the social challenges. and we can see them everywhere. But at the same time, since we are still trying to be more human and still focusing on, you know, the softness of things, I think we have the ability to overcome them a bit easier because we still are critical. I think the artists have the tendency to be critical, so I think that we are dealing with it a bit better than the I don't know, maybe financial workers.
Okay. Alta, are you dealing with the same problems with fundings?
Yes.
So what can we do?
Well, Kyrgyzstan is like on this ring road too, you know, so it's like a lot of tourism there. So housing for me is like it eats up all the money. So people have to pay to come, and I have to pay these high housing costs compared to most the residencies in Iceland have been able to get very cheap housing. And there's no government funding. I can only apply for some help for event planning and to have like these workshops and stuff, because you have some kind of a misunderstanding there in the south. We don't fund any like organizations, only events. So they treat the state budgets. So I rely completely on people coming and paying for being there. And I'm just like the salmon fisher. He doesn't get paid for fishing salmon. But I enjoy it just as much, you know.
And the salmon is beautiful.
My salmon are so many heights.
Laura, are there any unexpected lessons from the Icelandic Slovakia collaboration that could inform further projects? Lesson learned?
Dealing with grants of this big scale is absolutely different from dealing with, I don't know, state-driven funding. So I think you have to change your practices a bit. You also have to change like your writing style when you are trying to apply, you know, for such grants. And yeah, I think since we deal with international residents, the international part is not a problem. I think it's always the bureaucracy and the things which are more technical. So like the only legitimate advice which helped me very much was to have a person who is able to work with Excel, a person who is able to count to 10, and a person who is able to, you know, keep up the financial stuff and the reports and things like this, because I'm horrible with this. I always do the, you know, the thinking and the writing and the, yeah, I don't know, the project management, but I suck with numbers. And projects which are this big as this one, I really need a backup. I really need a person who is able to fix if I mess something. So I think it's really great in artistic practice to have mixed boards, a board with people who are totally different from each other and they're best with what they do in their direction. Because when you have like 4 artists running something, usually it's a huge mess because everyone has another opinion, different direction, different style, different needs. And I think you always have to have that one person who is like, let's be rational, these are the papers, these are the limits, we have to work within this, because then it's really hard to, you know, when something's messed up, to clean the mess is always much harder than to work efficiently.
Do you find that this depending so much on funds and collaboration, is it taking away from the art, from the creativity?
For me, yes.
Yeah, but of the programs? Are they getting lost in bureaucracy?
I would say the biggest issue is that we don't have like a long-term support. Like we can't work calmly and freely and to, you know, be able to focus on work, because my brother told me that, Laura, you have like a small business. And you know, we are independent residency, which is with random grants, but it's always like this, that you can have 65,000 euros in April if you get a grant, or you can have 0. And what do we do in 3 months? So it's always such a huge hustle, and you go from project to project, and you always have to think in advance, what are your possibilities, and have like 3 different options if something goes wrong. So it's always, I feel so tired after, going from one to another. So sometimes that takes the enjoyment, because we don't have safe cultural structure with support, financial support, and long-term projects are much harder to get than the shorter ones. So we usually do like many different grants with many partners in 1 year.
Who is doing all the paperwork for this program?
I'm doing
The applicant.
I did the application, I did the grants, but the financial stuff is my colleague's job.
I know.
Yeah.
This paperwork, when you look at it, I didn't have to do anything for this Bulgarian, but I read through it all. It's crazy. And then they have to make the report and put all the receipts, and I sometimes think, is it worth it, to us? Look. Yeah, now it's like the Scandinavian Fund for Artist Residencies. I've applied so many times, but every time I do, I try to get it, and I think with horror of the effect it would have on my life. All this paperwork.
I'm scared to death that something's go wrong and I will have to give them back 65,000 euros. It's like how I think they're fighting us, the people from the grants. Like me and Skuli are trying to come up like which logo should we use. I think I'm dealing with it the second week because the rules are just so unclear and I am not able to like decode the papers. And it's called a guidebook and I'm not really sure it's guiding me somewhere sometimes. But at the same time,
tiny little thing.
But at the same time, I think it's getting better. I think it's great they have a guidebook and it's great that they have one side with documents and you can go through it all. And you can always call them and you can give them email. So I think they are trying to become more efficient. I know that it's not probably their issue. It's more complex than that, but that really sucks our energy out of us.
Can imagine. I have only 2 more questions. I would like to hear from all of you. How can the residency programs engage with and positively contribute to the local communities where they are based? If I could get some beautiful ideas from all of you. Start with Björn. We forgot
the residencies or the artists?
There's the residencies, yeah. So as an artist participating in a residency.
I mean, it really depends on the residency and how it is, in a way.
On the island where you were.
Make friends with the snakes. We sing to them.
We heard about public reading. We heard about getting big carnival in downtown.
For example, one of my first residencies that really helped me in my career. I mean, I would say if you want to look at a great residency, that is a great residency. It's called Jaspis. It's in Stockholm. International Artist Studio Program in Stockholm, and how they do it is they select some foreign artists and then and some Swedish artists, and then they're all together. Like you get a studio and foreign artists get a flat as well, and then you interconnect, and they really bring curators into your studio. You make a show together at the end, and you have a lecture. I mean. Yeah, it's quite amazing. But this is run by the state of Sweden, so it's really well funded and
organized.
Yeah, very well organized.
To put your furniture together yourself.
But then, for example, where Elizabeth is, and also in Iceland in Seyðisfjörður, Skaftfell. I think these residencies are really well functioning for small residencies in a small village because somehow they manage. I mean, they that run the residencies and the artists to kind of engage with the local community. But maybe it also helps that these communities are really kind of curious and open towards the artists. And
the fishermen.
They are like, people are, helping artists out. And for example, in in Seyðisfjörður, many people have actually moved there after being there. And one young woman is called Jessica Auer. She actually moved to Seyðisfjörður and formed another residency, which is a photo residency. I think it's called Ströymur. And Strand, sorry. Strand, yeah. And, you know, so, you know, things evolve. And yeah, I made great friends, and for example, I'm actually a result of the Erasmus programs in Europe. I mean, when I was studying, that was already there, and I went to. I mean, basically, I'm really curious about the world and traveling. That's why I went to many exchange programs and also residencies, because it's a way to travel that you're not a tourist and you kind of engage with the community. I'm a terrible tourist. I never go traveling unless I have a purpose. I just don't really know how to, you know. So, and I think, I mean, the reason for the Erasmus program was to interconnect Europe so we wouldn't have wars, basically. So, you know, it is like a peace project in a way. So residencies are in a way a peace project as well. And that's what we really need in this world right now. On an international level, so I think we should interconnect and, you know, love each other.
Þorvaldur?
Yeah. So what was the question again? How can residencies benefit the local community?
Yeah. How do you contribute?
Yeah, I think it's really up to the residencies themselves to foster this connection to a local community, because they are the ones that are local. And it's really hard if you're, I mean, some residencies are just like, you go and you get an apartment and you're just alone for a month and you don't meet anyone. And obviously in those situations, it's very hard to get to know the local community unless you're like a total extrovert and like great at making connections. So I think it's really up to the hosts to like make this bridge into the local community, and that can be in many different ways. And one of the most beautiful examples that I witnessed was here in Iceland. I did this residency that was like a collaborative residency for it was quite short. It was like 10 days maybe, or a week, I don't remember exactly. And it was in Eyrarbakki here in the south. And so it was like a group of artists that came together, international and Icelandic, and we all collaborated for this whole week and did many projects with the local community. For example, we went to the prison, to Literárne, one of the largest prisons here in Iceland, and we met the inmates and talked with them and drew inspiration for our art pieces. Then we did like showings in the town, events in the local church. And I think that can be a really useful way to build community. But there's many ways to do it, you know, through reading or through just inviting someone for a dinner, you know, inviting someone for hosting meetings between residents and people in the local community. So yeah, there's many ways about it.
Laura?
I think we should know our community. I think we should know the needs of our community and who actually the community is. And I think, you know, there's our funny stats when you are promoting events, because I read a stat that usually, like Facebook marketing campaigns for events, almost never target women from the age of 50 plus. So when we did a literary festival in Košice reading, who has the most time in their life? You know, seniors. Who likes to read? Women, statistically more. No one targets these people during the process. So I tried to, you know, get these people to the festival. So we tried to design the campaign specifically on these people, and the festival was packed for 2 weeks every single day by these people. So I think when you go through, you know, the gaps and try to identify who is missing in my event and who is missing in my residency, I don't know, gathering, you somehow have to understand why the people are missing, and maybe it's a marketing issue, but I think that sometimes it's an issue that you don't see the people, and you don't see that also these people may be your audience, but usually, we meet as cultural workers, we meet as institutions, we meet as friends, and sometimes I think we become exclusive, not that we want to be, but we are, and I think we really have to expand our own boundaries and being more open towards the community and be open to people who are not maybe our first customers or our first, the people who we think of first when we do our events, and try to become visible for them as well, and somehow create a long-lasting relationship. And I think we can do this with, for example, longer residencies, that they have the person for a longer time in the city, and they can meet the person. Because, we always say and think that people should connect with the artist through the work. But sometimes I think that some topics may be very far from some people. And it's not very intuitive for me to like this and this. But when I meet the person and the person seems nice and seems interesting, I can, there's this spark of interest in those people. So I think we somehow have to create spaces which can spark this interest, and then somehow to cherish the relationship we can have with the people. So I think it's a very complex thing. It's about the visibility. It's about expanding our own boundaries. It's about thinking about the people in the process and making them part of it.
Alda?
Yeah.
Anything to add?
I think I had answered some of it, but many things come up. I mean, people also have moved to Lövat, now the neighborhood, after being even gotten married to someone, that happens also. I've had like 700 artists. Many come more than once, twice, 3 times, and stay longer. But they, of course, make friends, and people come to see their events when they know them. They just need that time. Seyðisfjörður and Ísafjörður, they have such a long history of engagement of the people in the villages in all kinds of art activities like music and choirs, and lots of visual artists have been in, for example, Seyðisfjörður, longer periods. So there's more history, and I think it's also the fisherman way of thinking, because they act swiftly. The weather's good, I have to go now, but the farmer, he's just sitting around a lot waiting for the lamb to get fatter.
Is that true, Skotta?
It's really a completely different mentality in a way. And I'm raised by the ocean in Hafnarfjörður, in the fisherman culture with my male family members, So I think I see this very well. And also I've lived in Selfoss for a long time. It's the same there. They're just like scared of something happening very quickly. It's like
they like fast cars.
That's different. I've been saving money for a long time.
I think if I take together what you all been saying is about connecting, people connecting.
This takes time.
Yeah, but the thing with residency, we can't do it on Teams meeting. People have to travel, have to be there in the situation. It would be so easy and so cheap to run residency through.
I've done one residency in Australia, but like a virtual residency.
Okay.
And it was beautiful.
So you improved my point then?
It was obviously conceived during COVID times, this idea, and it was a writers' festival in Melbourne, and they decided to pay writers. They made a deal with different institutions in Melbourne, and it was an open call, I think, for the whole world. And then I was granted a residency with a comic institute. It is called Stefnumót Institute. And so basically, I made comics with them, and then we actually made an online workshop. And we just had like cameras, like on what I was drawing and what they were drawing. And
did you pay for this?
No, they paid me.
They paid you.
Yeah. But it was like a really interesting thing, like to make the contract with the festival. It took a long time, but then because I'm in the writers' union, they had 3 lawyers. They had to. It took 2 weeks to make the deal because they wanted to own the copyright of my work, which I thought was really scary. So it was like a copyright legal agreement that took 2 weeks. Yeah. No, but otherwise it was like a great experience. Like but it's so weird, the time difference. So it's.
Have you heard of anyone doing this here, or?
Oh no.
I think you liked it because you've done so many different residencies. That's why you liked it online.
There have been these panel discussions about this on Res Artis, and I haven't even joined them.
Have you guys any questions for the panel? Yeah.
I have just for the artists. How do you support your residency practices? Do you always apply for the granted residency programs, or you trying as well to search and secure the costs of taking part in the residency programs here from the Icelandic funds? And how do you notice, like, what do you feel like if you want to, let's say you see an amazing open call, a great opportunities for you as a artist, let's say practitioner writer, and you would like to gain a great experience of the residency program, and you see that there is enough of funding in Iceland for you to apply to support your residency programs?
So for me, it's very important to have some type of support because, obviously, as an artist, I don't make a lot of money. If I was rich, I could just, go to Bali and pay for an expensive apartment and just stay there in a residency. But I have, for example, the Košice residency was the first one that I participated in that was funded, and that was like an amazing luxury for me to be able to go and just not worry about money, especially since I had just lost my job when I was there. But I have also gotten grants for residencies, like when I did one when I was in the university. Then I got an Erasmus grant for residency in France and for 2 months, and that was amazing. But yeah, it's kind of essential for me to have like some type of support. Otherwise, I wouldn't really be able to do it. And yeah, but obviously not all the residencies have the luxury of offering stipends. So sometimes have to be creative yourself and try to apply for grants, artist salary or whatever.
I think it depends. Like at the start of my career, then I would only apply for funded residencies, and then it kind of like you were in a residency and then you met some artists and you're like, yeah, this one's great, and then you would hear about the next one, kind of, and so it was in a way of to make a living or to be able to continue your art making and get paid for it.
So many artists who do this, like most of their time they're on artist residencies.
Yeah, but you can't
very
do
seldom go home.
No, but you can't, or I can't emotionally do that. Like,
No.
I have to go home.
No,
But,
yeah, there's one thing, because it's, I mean, obviously, like here in Iceland, we are better off than many countries in terms of funding for the arts, but it's still, it's very sparse, and it's very hard to get the artist salary, and there's a lot of competition. So residencies can be like extremely vital support for emerging and mid-career artists, because it's basically, let's face it, it's almost impossible to live as an artist in Iceland. Like, even if you have the artist salary, like it's below, it's not sustainable as a sustainable salary. So
And completely unreliable.
yeah, and completely unreliable. So you sometimes you have to go like abroad to just make it work. Like, you get a couple of months in the artist salary, and it's better to go to Berlin and live there because it's cheaper and you can use the money for longer. So.
but then I wanted to make a point with the residencies that are like where you have to pay for the residencies. Like go to like places that are kind of exotic and I don't know anyone there, and it's like a way to. Then I would maybe do it if there's a specific reason, like why I want to go there, and then I would get grants from maybe travel grants or whatever grants from here to do that. So I kind of do a mix. Yeah.
We're way past our time, so I think we can continue this in happy hour. The bar is open.
I have one question.
Yep.
Regarding the grant application,
Yeah.
you mentioned that residencies could support you. Do you ask them for support, and do you see what kind of support it could be?
I mean, there's always like in the description you can see like if there's a stipend, if there's where it costs, and I mean, but sometimes you maybe if like people are very knowledgeable, like like Skuli probably knows the grant system very well. You could probably offer like some guidance on what grants to apply for.
Also, but often grants are for a certain project, so the artist is expected to be working on something, and he complies to that. So then it's like a sidekick to the artist himself, unless like this is his thing.
It's basically only like travel grants that you can applies without like on a short-term basis.
But what there's missing now in Iceland, there was this beautiful grant that enabled artists to travel within the regions, and it was called Félagsheimilasjóður.
Okay.
And it was kind of like you just had to put your name and address and not so much paperwork. And
that's over.
and it was a great grant because then people could because people could travel freely within Iceland.
Sometimes you can use these like uppbyggingar.
But that's so hard to get because they are so strict. They don't they're really focusing on their area. So I think we still need this grant, because it's also important for us to go to other places.
This is all something we can continue talking about later after the event, so let's give them a good applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you for moderating, Gunnar. And then we just end this event. And thank you all for coming, and those who were online. And we can just continue the conversation, yes, at the bar if needed. Otherwise, just later, and we will send all contacts to you. So hopefully this will be fruitful in some ways and with new projects. That's always the idea. So thank you all. Thank you.